And you didn't do the stream start thing where it does the intro. Went live.
Oh.
So now we're just live.
I don't know. Can you see us?
I don't know. Where's the
I
chat?
don't know what I'm
Where's
doing.
chat?
There, right there.
Can you move it to where I can see it?
Where?
It's supposed to go on the side over by me.
This side.
But it's the app.
Huh? Sorry, I don't. It's all different. Did I miss one that I'm. Oh, no.
I don't know where you didn't do
Just
it.
said
So
update the title. Click start streaming.
before all.
When I turned it on. Things.
Like this?
Yeah. Well, I did that before, and that's what changed it to the right thing.
Hang on, guys.
Sorry. Update the title. Start streaming. In show. Paint cam buttons to zoom in and out. And then stop. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that just tells me where to update the thing. Okay, we got it. Sorry.
All right. We're here. Hello.
Ghost Hunter is probably not frozen. It was probably just us figuring out what is going on.
Chris did not leave clear instructions, so.
I think he just missed a step.
All right. We're back.
Or I think that was probably supposed to come up automatically, and it didn't, and he didn't account for that in his instructions.
What's going on, everybody? Hello.
Hi.
Hello. We have... I'm finished. Can you pop in closer? Do you see the thing that... Yeah, like that. And does that look focused?
I don't know. There's a big glare on the thing, so everything is a little fuzzy on mine.
All right.
Feels like the good old days.
No, it doesn't.
What?
Oh, with you and me here, yes.
Yes.
No, it doesn't feel like the good old days with... All right, so I need you to focus, which is one of those wooden knobs.
These
I
little
think it's that
knobby
one.
things?
Twist that and see what happens.
Go that way. How do I twist? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, now go back the other way.
Other way. There you go. Okay.
There you go. All right, it was out of focus. All right, cool. We're gonna work on this guy today. What's going on, everybody? Sugar Rush Jason's like, my back hurts. It's, you know, it's technology. Chris did everything so that Jen would look bad and he'd be seen as indispensable. I don't doubt that for a second. He's job security for him. No, Chris is at AdeptiCon. They got out of town just fine. Did we already get a block?
Yes. There's a kick spin.
Oh, idiots. What's going on, everybody? What's up, Tim? Pop Chicken, I'm not reading that. It's the one thing with Chris not here. We do not have to read your jokes. It is not our job.
If it's a good one, I'm going to read it, though.
Damn it.
I saw a whole TikTok of really bad dad jokes. It was so good.
Well, if they're bad jokes, how can they be good?
Yes. That's how that works.
Arg. Yarg.
All right.
Right, this guy I want to play with. I have no idea how this is going to go. I shot this guy. This is one of the Conquest orcs, believe it or not. I don't remember what these guys. Chosen of War, yes. Big, huge, hulking bastages. And I did the standard dark purple, but then over the top of the dark purple, I did yellow-green as a zenithal, so a chromatic zenithal of yellow-green. And then I did a thin coat of bismuth yellow over that. So I got this really cool, like bright yellow-green, but it's not. It's just a bismuth yellow over yellow-green. And then the yellow-green and purple in the shadows. So it's a good undercoat of cool stuffs. And I'm thinking I want orange skin. So I'm going to do OneStep orange. And we're going to play and see how well it does. Like if I thin it down and layer it up, how it goes over this green and purple. Because one of the best things that we've been having lots of luck with the OneStep is a lot of chromatic undertones. So being able to do purple shadows and all of that, they really, really do well in that case. So it's a nice.
Speaking of OneStep, we've had about 375 people already ask when it's going to go live in the EU.
Just in the 375 just in the last 5 minutes?
Yep.
Okay.
The people want to know. They demand answers.
So that's Thursday when AdeptiCon starts. AdeptiCon has not started yet.
They're also asking a specific time.
We don't know that.
AdeptiCon starts at 1 a.m. UK time.
I don't understand that. I don't know what that even means.
There when it's
AdeptiCon
there.
Starts at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard, so that winds up being
1 a.m. UK time.
Not true.
Well, that's what Yaycat said.
That is not true.
Well,
the show floor starts at 10 a.m., which is 6 p.m. on Thursday. Yeah,
yes.
Jen, you probably got to turn yourself up. You are number 2 on that slide. Down below. On the board.
It's like all the way up.
You got to get closer to your microphone then.
I mean, really, you guys know I'm not going to be doing the talking anyway, so.
You have to. You have to. Chris is always so loud. All right, so this is just orange. I'm just going for it. Just orange. Do I want to do that or do I want to make it a little yellow? I got a lot of yellow here. Let's just do straight orange. No mixes. Just straight orange. This is scary. This is a bit scary, but we're going for it.
Fun fact, Monument Standard Time is currently the same as Pacific Daylight Time.
Yes. Funny how that works.
Half the year.
So we're looking for more of just a general filter out of it, and that's looking pretty good. It's still going to pool in the recesses, right? Just the way OneStep works. You're used to contrast and speed paints. You already know this. They flow like washes, but have the saturation of normal paints. And just the opacity of our transparent lines. So they're like an amalgam of all the good stuff thrown together. I love them like this as filters because they're so intense. It's just like one quick pass with the brush gives you everything you need, as opposed to 15 layers with a glaze. Which is super, super nice. Not have to fight them when you're in tough to reach places like the underside of this hand and so on and so forth. How's everybody doing on whatever today is? Tuesday? Is today Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
I have no understanding of time right now. I know that tomorrow, Jen and I get on a plane.
Yeah.
And we fly away.
And we have to be at the airport super early.
Oh my God. You know, yeah, because Gabe said they got through really quick, but as soon as we trust that, we'll miss our flight.
Well, that was at 5 in the morning, too. I
Yeah.
saw another video from 6:30 this morning that looked exactly like yesterday.
Well, but one of the things they're not telling you is that they have closed down a lot of that area that you can walk through. And so they're making it seem a lot worse than it really is.
Well,
I've been following up with all that, and there's been very relatively good times at Phoenix. But we still got to get there early.
Oh, Travel Cedric, that's cool.
Not risk it.
In Canada, Pacific Daylight Time doesn't exist anymore. It is now permanent time, so it will always match Monument Standard Time.
You guys voted out daylight savings?
Wait, but were you... So, you're Pacific. So right now, we're at the same time, and it's going to stay that way forever and ever? That's very cool.
I like that.
Ghost Hunter Poppy is at home. There would be too many buttons here that she would be able to step on.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
Her favorite thing right now is to walk on Jason's desk and sit on his lap.
Yeah, about that. It's a little much sometimes.
Oh, just in BC. They're the only ones that got rid of daylight savings. Okay, not Canada-wide.
I don't know why anybody keeps it.
I mean, Papa Chicken, if you're asking us, then yeah. I don't think we have the power to make that decision, though.
What's that?
Papa Chicken said, can we please get rid of daylight savings time changes? I would love it if we stayed on daylight time forever.
I don't understand it anymore.
Not our choice.
And people ask about it, and nobody ever has a good reason.
No.
Not one. There is nobody I've ever heard talk about it that has a good reason to stay on it, other than don't upset the norm. That's the best people can come up with. So, yeah. I don't know. I have no patience for it, but I moved to Arizona. Fix that.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about it anymore. Not my circus, not my monkeys. So I'm just loading up my brush with water, pretty much.
There was previously a good reason. Now it doesn't make sense at all.
I don't know that there ever was. You know, the joke is that before tractors had headlights, maybe that made sense. But there's been headlights on tractors for way longer than that gives anybody credit for being the reason.
Yay Cat said, I say we return to tradition. British Standard Time globe-wide. The sun never sets on the Empire.
No. Y'all lost.
Mortal Kombat said, with the OneSteps, do you still go for the opacity test stroke like the standard Procol paints?
On my thumb palette, you mean? Is that what you're talking about?
I assume. Yes, thumb.
No, generally not. The thumb palette does double, triple duty kind of stuff, right? It is more than just a opacity checker. That's one of the neat outcomes that you get from it. But in reality, it's a viscosity check first, opacity check second. Meaning that I hit it on my thumb to make sure that the paint is either as fluid or not as I like it for the task at hand, whether it's glazing or whatever it is I'm doing. And you'll see me very rarely, as I've been doing the OneStep, have any paint here. I did that one stroke there just because I felt like I had too much, and I'm getting it out of a little cup that I've mixed a little water into it with. And so the cup is a little difficult for me to rub the brush on the side to get water out of it. But no, I don't. I haven't been, at least, checking opacity with it. It's very translucent, so I don't know that I'm really worried about it too much. If anything, I'm hoping that it's, more transparent than it might be at any given time. But I've learned that this stuff is just magical, so I'm just going for it.
Sigavax, that question makes me nervous.
What's that?
Do you like surprises?
Oh, no. No, not when acts like that, no.
I'll be bringing some gifts for the crew.
No.
Little Billy, allegedly Chris made the flight on time. We've been told that they all made it on time. We've only seen photographic evidence of 3 of them on the plane.
Yep. The girls
they
scaring
claim
Ryan
they
and whoever
to
took the picture.
Yes, the girls were wearing sheet masks on their face.
What are they called?
Sheet mask, like a little sheet of
Sheet mask.
Yes.
Like a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do these masks.
Yeah. You got to stay hydrated. Keep your skin hydrated.
I mean, you keep saying that, but I don't know what that means.
Claude Kennelal said, what colors were used for the undercoat here?
Dark purple primer, and then yellow green over the top of that for the first, what we'll call zenithal highlight. And then over the top of the yellow green was bismuth yellow. So I used 3 colors to get the basic value sketch on there with the airbrush. The first one being the purple prime layer. It does double duty. It gives you a color base as well as, the first primer coat. Then the yellow green over the top. And then the bismuth yellow was just the bright edge. Oh, and then I did a bright pale yellow dry brush over all of that. As you can see, that's the details popping off of there, the bright pale yellow dry brush. So when doing these types of painting techniques where you're really just using a loose filter over the top of a model, whether you're doing what is been referred to lately as slap chop, which I hate that term, but a pre-highlight or a value sketch underneath your base coat is going to get you a lot better movement with contrast, and then like say just a white prime coat or a wraithbone prime coat or whatever they tell you with the other guys. And then if you can step up your game a little bit, it doesn't cost you much time or effort to do a color instead of black. So like dark purple, you see me use a lot. And then using these chromatic undertones to start with makes these types of paints, speed paint, contrast paint, our OneStep formula, so much more powerful. Because now they get to inherit these other tones that you've put on the model that can bring the model to life in ways that just a standard base coat with white and black won't, because white and black tend to desaturate color rather than accentuate it in the way that you want. And so like here where I'm doing orange, it's so nice to have some warmth and some cool tone, like the purple underneath. Orange and purple are great complements to one another. And so being able to have the purple undertone for the orange makes sense, while also having this green and yellow, which are good with orange.
Nick Pye wants to know if we have any updates on the restock of spray paints and weathering pigments.
Weathering pigments will be in the next week or so.
Yep.
Spray paint's somewhere close to that
draft
too.
For that.
Somewhere close to that as well. No guarantee date yet on either, but very, very soon. Imminent.
Hashtag soon. Coyote Colson said, when brightening warm colors, when would you recommend using the pale yellows over the ivories in the range?
They're very similar. The bright pale yellow and the bright ivory are very similar. The bright pale yellow is just going to have more yellow to it. So I think I tend to use the pale yellow, bright pale yellow for warm colors. And I tend to use the ivories when I'm looking for things that are more in the realm of brown that I still want some warmth to, but not as much. And some of that's preference, what you have or don't have. Like if you don't have bright pale yellow, but you have bright ivory, then use them interchangeably. Because for some of that, they are. There's so little yellow in either of those that depending on the color you put over the top, it doesn't really matter, right? It comes down to nuances that aren't quite, visible to everybody's eye. So it's you as an artist being subjective and saying which one do you think you know, do they look different? Does one look better than the other? I use them both. When you start going into like the dark ivory, olive flesh, things like that, bone, then you start bringing in other hues, more browns than yellows into it, and those will start to have a different undertone to them.
Jedi Time Lord's literally on the plane to Adepticon watching this.
Nice.
You can live stream on an airplane?
If you pay for the internet thing, sure.
No idea.
I don't know if any planes actually have internet for free, but like on American, we have to pay for
free.
it.
Especially on an airplane.
Well, that's true. You paid for it one way or another.
Yeah.
They charge you more for the ticket and give you free Wi-Fi. But
the compressor is right here next to me. So that might be why you're hearing it. Because I had to turn my mic up. Will the spray paint be a full restock? Mo would like to know.
Of Monument, yes. Of Color Forge, no. Close.
Who's that?
Somebody at the daycare.
Let's see. November 627. When thinning OneStep, can we go back to adding water directly to the drop like savages?
To the drop? What do you mean? Like on the palette, you mean?
Maybe.
I don't put it on the palette. I want it to be really loose because you use a lot of material, so I put it in a cup. I think for these types of paints, you're better served off the palette than on. Get yourself some mixing cups or something you can pour it into that you can dip into it and get it out, and that when you're done, you can pour it back into the bottle if you need to. That way you're able to get a lot going but not be wasteful. That makes sense? That's how I've been using it.
Derpstick said, is permanent green light the same tone as the regular Pro Acryl green?
No.
No.
Nope.
Omegalist, thought I heard you say in a previous stream that Bold Titanium White has some extra considerations when used through an airbrush. Did I mishear?
No.
No, I didn't mishear, or no, there are no...
No, you don't have to do anything with it. There's nothing that's different about Bold Titanium White.
Oh, we are flying out tomorrow.
You might have heard with the heavy Titanium White. The heavies, I don't necessarily... You can run them through the airbrush, but you have to thin them down, right? The Bold Titanium White, I shoot without any thinning in a lot of cases, but you can thin the crap out of it too. Just use it like a normal paint, however you like to spray. If you find the way you spray doesn't work well with it as far as how you thin or whatever, then you can adapt it to whatever you need to do.
A few people are asking about those little silicone fidget toy things that people use to put paint in.
The little snap tray things,
yeah.
Silicone snap trays. What about
them? Just could you do something like that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I just want something I can dip my brush into and not spread it around on a palette, right? Because this is more of a wash. And I don't put washes on the palette either very often. Sometimes if I'm just using a little bit, I know I can just dip my brush into it and be done. But most of the time when I'm doing a wash, I put it in a cup or something too, right? Because the stuff is just too hard to use when you've got it on a palette. For me, at least.
Are you going to be airbrushing still?
No, you can kick it off if you want. I'm done. I was finalizing my Star Wars army. Had to do the varnish coat to protect them as I go to AdeptiCon.
Rattlecan primer restock soon.
Yeah. Well, I really like that. That orange looks really good with those tones underneath it. The green and the purple. Gives us a really good color of skin. Much better than white would have done. White is just too much of a desaturating neutral, so I don't like putting it under these colors. You can, and it gives really good contrast. If you're looking for really bright contrast, that's the way to go. But if you're looking for really cool color, that makes your job so much easier at the end of the day, because with this, we'll probably just be able to maybe do a last highlight on it, if even that.
So you're saying instead of just white primer?
Yeah, instead of just white primer, which will desaturate your color, make it look like this orange, maybe it makes it look like it's more of a sherbet style color, right? When you do that, right? As opposed to doing that, do something like, taupe. Or if you do black as your base coat instead of white as your zenithal, taupe. Bright ivory. Things like that. Something that has a little warmth for the orange in this case. Or, a cool color if you're doing blues. Stuff like that. It just makes the whole thing better. That's almost impossible to get in. This is like playing Operation. I'm not going to do that with this brush. That's the only problem with these.
His nose to light up.
The only problem with these that I've had, and I keep saying it, is that I paint with a lot more material on the brush, and it's a little bit more butt puckering to have to get into tight spaces because I don't want to get it all over everything around it, I'm probably just going to do it anyway. Call on this area here. All right, now we have orange-skinned orc.
Oh, Avian, did you win a giveaway yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. Oh, no, I got toes. I'm so embarrassed. This model was the one we used to do the how to build a model thing, and I missed some mold lines.
Uh-oh.
I missed some mold lines. I was going so fast telling everybody what to do, and I missed a mold line like right here on the foot. That's going to suck right there, right on the big toe.
My name is long enough to be annoying. It's not annoying at all. Do you find it easier to clean OneStep off with mistakes than other paints from other speed or contrast style manufacturers?
I don't know. I never used them enough from the other brands to know what happens when that is a necessity. Yeah, these clean very nicely when you get them on something. You got to be quick because these paints are meant to dry pretty quick so that you can keep moving because you are flooding the surface, right? I say flooding. You're treating it like a wash. So if you've ever overloaded a surface with a wash, you know how annoying it can be if that wash takes forever to dry because you just want to go and paint the next layer over the top of it and have it be done. And so these dry pretty quick, nothing that speeds them up over normal Prochrome, but even when you flood an area, they still dry pretty quick. These are all dry to the touch already, and I put a hell of a lot of paint on those areas. And you can see it's just a little bit shiny on the back where we flooded it, but other than that, it's pretty dry on the tops of those. So I'm putting a lot of material on here, and it dries pretty quick, but if I get something on the armor and stuff, like that little spot right there, I can't clean off probably because I think that already dried from when I was painting the chest, right? So this right here that's been on there for a minute, we can try to re-wet it, but this will show you that re-wetting the paint doesn't make it move. There's a big problem with a lot of the competition. Yeah, see, that's just already on there. It's dry, so that's not going to come off of that little spot. But the nice thing is when I do the next coat of paint over it, it won't matter at all. So the translucence of them makes it very easy to work with that. It bleeds a little bit because I had so much material here. So that's easy. When I clean up with the next color, won't be a big deal.
There are a few questions that are not related to what you're doing.
Okay.
So first one, and Stalker, you don't have to apologize. What is the best way to paint a transparent miniature so it remains transparent but with colors?
So the first thing that you want to do with the mini is prime it with matte varnish.
Prime it with matte varnish.
A matte varnish will act like a primer for you so that you still have that base coat that locks all your color on, but of course the varnish is see-through. So that lets you maintain the transparency that you wanted out of it. So like if it's a windshield on a flyer, or a stained glass window effect or something like that you're going for, it allows it to remain see-through. That's the big thing. So varnish as a primer, matte, not gloss, is important that you do that, right? Because the matte gives it tooth so that your paint sticks. Then use a transparent paint, like our transparents or the OneStep colors, where you can see through them anyway. And now that the plastic, even though it's not shiny anymore because you put a matte varnish over the top, so it'll be clear, but it'll still be frosted a little bit. When you put the paint over the top, that frosted look will go away. You'll be able to see through it again. And then at the end, you can choose to gloss varnish it if you want it to be that shiny, or you can just leave it see-through, and light will still pass through it. It'll be like a semi-translucent stained glass at that point. That's the best way to do it.
Okay. Another question. I have 3 test minis primed in black, and each one has a different base color: pain gray, coal black, and dark warm gray.
Okay.
Which way should I go for them? I think it depends on what you're trying to get at the end, right?
Yeah, so 3 test minis primed in black, and each one has a different base color. What are you going for final color on all of them? What was the goal? Like, is the Payne's gray one supposed to look a certain way? Or are you trying to make the same color and you're just seeing which acts as the best base coat? What's your ultimate end color trying to be?
While we're waiting for more information there, any advice on how to do a white lightsaber with a blue hue? Glazes, transparents?
So the bulk of it is white. I would do that. I would paint it. I would paint it titanium white. I would glaze something like blue transparent, really, really thin down, just to give it a slight hint of blue. And then I would go back and choose a side and feather the white line in the middle, like the plasma line of white on it, like you would paint lightning in the center, kind of a thing.
Happened. I'm just looking. There were a couple others. Just trying to find them. That one we just did. Okay, since you were so kind to provide a one-step set to me, are there other items that will fly off the shelf at Adepticon? I assume the natural hair brushes would go fast.
Yeah, the first batch of US made sables is there. Those will probably go really quick because there's not very many of them. Those will go really quick. The single bottle of rust you did not get, that'll be there in very limited quantities. I don't know that it'll last through Thursday. What else? The weathering pigments are back in stock at Adepticon. The Expert Acrylic expansion set is there. The next 6 colors for the Expert Acrylics are there. Those will go quick. So
the next 6, the new ones?
Yep, the next ones.
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
New name was a failure. Back to my corner of shame with the blackboard. Wait a minute. It says name is long enough to be annoying.
Yeah, it's not annoying at all. I think a long name like that is funny, actually.
Your corner of shame with the blackboard. I don't know why you change your name all the time. Why do you do that?
To make it interesting. Coyote Colson.
Just be Mike. We love you, Mike.
We love you, Mike. Looking to pick up the Expert Acrylics, and I remember Vince V recommending to apply a fair amount, then spread it like jam. Is that how you'd recommend using them?
Depends on how you're painting. I do that when I'm wet blending. If you're wanting to paint with them more like you would paint on a canvas, then that's a pretty free way to do it. But you need a pretty big model, right? You're not going to do that on even something like this because the space between details is too small. So you don't want to cram a lot of paint into corners. So no, I tend to basically like over wet my brush and draw down just like I would from normal paint and get the consistency that I would with Procryl. I don't have to thin it much to do that because it lays very flat, but I don't load it up like jam. And like I said, unless I'm wet blending with it, if you want to wet blend with it, then you have a big surface to work with, then yeah, it works great.
All right, we got more context for this one about the things.
Okay.
It is going for a cold, wintry themed vibe for a Viking style background.
Oh, okay. But what are the models? Are they Space Marines? Help me understand, because this is a big question. Because like Viking wintry theme, if they're like Space Wolves, I have one way that I would do that. If they're like fantasy figures and you're going to brown armor or gray armor, then it's something else. So I kind of need more context. I'm sorry if we missed that. You might have stated, hey, I'm painting Space Wolves, and then the next thing, and we missed the first part. But that sounds kind of like where you're going because of the choices that you made, because you said you choose Dark Warm Gray, Payne's Gray, and what was the other one?
Coal black.
Coal Black. So yeah, let me know what the figure is. Is it armor, or is it stuff like this has been noted, says I will never be Mike. You bastard. Well, we love you as Mike, so we just call you Mike anyway. So you're Mike. Beef Berkey's, he tried the white build-up from the Tau suit, but used dark plum as the base. I was having issues with blending to the white blue. Any advice on smoothing lighter blends? Are you blending to white blue directly from dark plum? What are the steps you took in between? Did you do like
That'd be a big jump.
The cool blue and all that? Because I would feather something. You know, when I did the dark plum underneath my black, you know, you do the Payne's Gray over the top of that, and then you could work up from there. So you could do like the navy blue over the top of the dark plum, and then just pick up from there and do the whole thing, and then you don't have a... Okay, Space Marines, gotcha. JB, gotcha. Okay, so with Space Marines, starting from something like a Payne's Gray, I like going from Payne's Gray to dark gray blue, and then start mixing in like gray blue. That works really, really well. So, Payne's Gray. Dark gray blue. And then gray blue. Is a great way to do it. Right? Because you get enough of a change in value and hue from each of these that this gives you a really great way to get up to that cold gray. Now, you could replace this if you didn't want so much blue in the armor. If you didn't want that old 40K style Space Wolves, if you wanted something that was a little bit more gray, then you could move into cool gray instead. And this will desaturate the blue and get rid of the blue being so prominent and saturated at the top end highlights, and you'll move into the cool gray. This would be really good. This was equally as good. This just keeps it in that blue spectrum. This starts moving it into more of like that. I don't want to say 30K because they didn't really have, they were just gray. They didn't have the blue part, but I really like this from the Payne's Gray base. Then on the dark warm gray base, right now you've moved into something that is really wanting to just be gray. And I think it's as easy as maybe just going warm gray into cool gray. Right? Keep that cool gray at the top, because this I want to still be a cooler tone in the highlights. But dark warm and cool gray, I think that's fantastic. This has no blue to it, right? So this would give you kind of a muddy gray color, more 30K Space Wolf style. And then the coal black will do any of these. So you can pick what you want to do, because the coal black is just your black base coat. So you could then do the Payne's Gray over the top of that, or the dark warm gray over the top of that, and build both of those same colors just with a darker shadow coat. So that's a choice. I think one of those is going to be your best bet. Both of those work really well.
So the buildup is dark plum slate gray to cool gray using a brush. It's more blending from the cool gray to white blue.
Okay, cool gray to white blue, and you want to know how to feather that blend to make it better? Is that what you're asking? So
yeah, smoother blends, I think. Smoothing lighter blends.
Slate gray to cool gray. Is that what we said?
It was
or white blue. Cool gray to white blue.
Dark plum, slate gray, cool gray, and then white blue. Yeah, cool gray to white blue.
Okay, so the slate gray is not a problem for you. It's cool gray to white blue.
Yeah.
Right? Let's do some work on Mr. Adam here. Or actually, we could do some... Well, no, this is good. This is good enough.
Swifter Bear, we're going tomorrow. We leave in the morning.
And then I have an early flight out tomorrow out of Phoenix. Get there about lunchtime. Head over, check into the hotel. And then go by and see all the wonderful work that everybody's doing.
I'm so excited.
They're already there. I believe the truck's already dumped off the booth. They should be building the booth as we speak.
Nice.
So, good stuff going on. I'm going to use a bigger brush. Right, so let's just do something like this. I'll just do the cylinder of Adam's leg here.
Earl Tedley wants to know if you're going to wear anything special to psych out Dallas during your match.
Something skimpy.
A real low cut, short
Something
dress.
Low cut, short dress, a lot of leg. No. He gets all huffy. He's been telling me in the background. He's been telling me in the background I can't do anything to get him fired, so where we're at.
A tube top and a short skirt. You got this.
Ain't nobody trying to see me in a tube top. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
I do see other questions. We will get to those as well.
Yeah, let me get through this. I want to make sure that I help out with blending between these. These are pretty close proximity in terms of value. There is always a big jump because white blue is like jumping to white, right? And so from the cool gray to the white blue, it's going to be a little wet here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not over wetting my brush. But I would always do a 50-50 blend of the two, right? So I'd pull those together, make an in-between color on the palette using the in-between space between those droplets to give you an idea of where you're wanting to be brightness-wise. Right, so now I have an in-between color. And then I want to come through here and put that in-between color down the shine spot on the leg, for instance, here.
A pink Speedo.
No.
Bud. Hello.
Bud, what's going on? Once I've got that laid in there, then I can just kind of take the color, feather it quick from my dark color into my light.
Bogus Mage said, I think anybody who's going to the convention should introduce themselves to Chris and hand him a self-addressed stamped envelope and a wink.
Yes.
Yes, please do this.
More of that, please.
If you are going, please do that.
More of that, please. Right, so I'm just feathering this light color using even with this big ass brush. I'll show you if Jen can pop in super close.
Move over just a tiny bit. Yeah.
Right, so you can see kind of where my brush strokes are just going horizontally there to get those colors to match. And then I'll put the white blue right into that. Unfortunately, when I'm moving this quick on stream, it tends to wet blend, so.
Well, I was packed. Now I need to get an envelope.
I wonder if I still have any. Oh, no. Nope. Our compressor is super good about draining all the air when you turn it off. So there is no longer air there. And I'll start with a very thin line for my highlight. This is true of anything. This is a cylinder shape, but of any shape, when I go in to drop my bright highlight, start with a very small area of highlight. Because you're going to build it up as you blend. One of the big problems with blending is that you have to leave yourself the space to do it, right? If you paint the highlight area exactly as big as you want it, then how are you going to blend it out? Because as you blend it out, you make it bigger, right? So here I'll just kind of feather from the left back to the center. Catch that line of the panel line there. Again, just very thin brush strokes. From the left side of my shine back into the center area. Right. Then I will, well, if you want a hard shine, if you're doing non-metallic metal, then you leave the other side blunt like that. But if you're trying to do a blended area, like on cloth, so everybody understand, like if I'm doing a hard shine, then this side probably wants to stay fairly blunt, like this. And then just blend off to one side or the other, like that, right? That would be non-metallic metal, what you'd be looking for. And you'd want to catch a brighter area on this panel line, of course. than your other edges, but that would be a rough way to do like a bright gray non-metallic metal. Now, if you're blending this on a cloak, you don't want that hard edge, and so you're going to come back and do the same thing on this side, which is blend back to the center of your shine area with very thin brush strokes. Because this guy's made out of metal, I'm spacing him a little bit so we give ourselves some actual texture. Metal has a texture to it. Right, and that helps blur it back out the other way. And this is not very thin. This is not a lot of water on the brush. Right? You can see I can still pull fairly opaque lines with the paint. There's just not a lot there. Right? I take most of it off of the brush so that when I come over here, I'm getting fairly thin, kind of semi-opaque lines with it, as opposed to really dramatic pencil line style.
Yeah, Joel B, unfortunately, I think pretty slim.
What's that?
What are the chances of OneStep being in stock still on Friday afternoon? You never know.
At the show?
Yeah.
I think, okay, here's the funny math. We have enough sets that Gabe did the math and said that it would take us until, it would take every hour of the show up until end of day Saturday, I believe, to sell all the sets we brought. Physically to check them out. Because we have 2 point of sale systems, both of them working constantly at 90 seconds a piece to check out the sets. Would take until the end of day Saturday to check out all the sets we brought.
But what if someone buys like 3 or 4?
Huh?
I don't think that math is.
Well, that's the thing. He said he averaged everybody buying 1.5 sets.
Oh,
that was his.
Well,
thing.
that's Gabe math for sure.
I mean, it sounded fair to me. Not everybody's gonna. I need a glass of water.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong place and missed that he was not. What are you doing? You almost got it. How are we going to entertain ourselves on the flight? I don't know. Probably read a book or watch a movie or something.
I have to learn how to play Star Wars Legion.
Oh, so Jason will be reading rules.
I told Dallas today I'm going to be reading the rules to the game on the freaking plane. Okay, so I need to know, is this showing you what you wanted to see?
Yes. He did say a while back, this is really helpful.
Now, let me show you something, is that as you've done this, we now have 3 colors on here, right? But they're blended pretty well. They're a little rough because I'm having to do it fast. But you can see the original darker gray, the lighter gray, which was the blend between them, and then the white blue, which I've done both as a blended highlight and then just that bright shine line that I pulled. Okay? Now, one thing you can do at the end of this is you can take a glaze. Let's do it where let's say you want to err on the side of it being a little darker, right? I hate that the sections are so different. I'll glaze the bright on the top and the dark on the bottom. How about that? Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of the cool gray, which was in this case the darker color, and I'm going to make it a glaze. I'm just going to put a lot of water on my brush, and I'm going to bring it out here to where it's like this. See that? Are you able to see? Look at the white lines here and see how that's going across the white lines, dulling them down. That's the kind of glaze I have. So I can take that and I can glaze over this entire thing. And by doing so, that will blend all these colors.
We can't see what you're doing. There we go.
It will blend all these colors because it's the same color as the darkest color in this blend, right? But now I can put it over the top of the white blue and the mixed color, and you'll see that is the trick to smoothing out your blends. Now you may have to do this a few times based on whatever you've decided to do color-wise, because you can imagine as it goes from the the darker color here, which is the cool gray, into, you know, navy blue or slate gray or you know, dark plum, that you might have to do one that has a little bit of a glaze between this darker color into like the dark plum or the navy blue, and you would choose the navy blue or the slate gray and do the same thing, but you'd start it here and glaze it back into the shadows, right? But notice how that smoothed that blend out tremendously, right? We still have dark color, mid-tone, bright, but that makes the blend look a lot smoother. You can do the same thing with the bright color, right? So I'd take this same number 6 brush with basically a whole load of water on it, come over here into my white blue, right? Now I've got this, right? So we'll go over the darker part here on my thumb, right? Now we've got this kind of a glaze. So it's brightening everything up, okay? Get most of that off of there so you don't have a lot of wetness. And then you can glaze with that over all of this.
Nope, still more. There we go.
You can glaze with this over the top of all of this, right? And get the same effect, but you'll brighten everything up. You'll blend them all together, but now you're brightening it up a little bit, right? And you still want to go back all the way into your dark color. And you notice how I'm pulling the color back towards where the white blue is. Okay. And that will make, it's tough to tell, but that brightened up that upper spot versus this bottom spot. Making it a lot darker. That's a way you can work on how you are doing your blends, and you just start doing them panel by panel. Don't try to do the whole model with a glaze. Break it down like I did into sections and all of that. I would do like this section down here would be done separate. If I were glazing a highlight on it, you know, to blend those together, I would do this part over the foot as its own thing, right? And just keep moving around the model that way.
Awesome. Bobby 3000. I know this was like 20 minutes ago, but if you're still here, Bobby 3000 said, I just bought some transparent blue by accident and I have no idea what it can do. Got an easy project recommendation for a new painter to try with transparents.
Oh, so you said it was an accident. Yeah. You picked it up thinking you were getting a blue of some other type? Transparents are fantastic for mixing with metallics. They're fantastic for glazing. Let's take this model we were just working on and grab some transparent blue.
And Beefy Berkey, by the way, said, I'll glaze white blue as it's meant to be white armor. Thanks a lot. I think my main issue is trying to go too fast.
Yeah. Patience, because if the paint doesn't dry between those layers, you will mess it all up. You saw it was wet blending as I was going because I'm going so fast for stream. And you get a little bit messy there because you're moving the paint around. You can control it and still wind up with it being okay, but it's just tougher. Right?
Oh, good. Bobby's still here.
Okay, so I'm going to turn this blue now. I've set up a gradient, right? It's as you know, almost like white gradient because the darkest color is just that cool gray, which isn't super dark, right? But if I want to turn this blue, transparent blue is a color that, right, straight out of the bottle will turn things blue, right? It's like holy blue, but you can see through it. Notice how you can see the texture of the lines beneath there? You can see through it. Unlike normal paint, it's not trying to be opaque. It's trying to let you see what you put it over. But if you use it right out of the bottle, whatever you put it over just became blue. And then like we can tell there's orange underneath the blue, but it's blue now, okay? So that's one way of using it to just paint something blue. You could do a pre-highlight, you know, a zenithal prime on your model, and then hit it with blue transparent, and now you have blue model, right? That just takes on the brightness of the white and the black underneath if you did zenithal. Now, I'm going to take a full brush load of water, and I'm going to thin this transparent blue down considerably. So it's basically water with a little bit of paint in it now. And so this is still going to be blue, but it's going to show a lot more of the color underneath it, right? Lots of water. I'm probably, I don't know, 5 to 1, 6 to 1 water to paint now. I get most of that off of there. And now we can come through and this will turn this blue, but it has a much lower intensity when I thin it. So that now I can glaze this, you know, imagine glazing that into shadows, right? Or if I just wanted this color of blue, you know, I can do my value sketch underneath with the gray and the white or possibly black. and then glaze this over and get this whole area turned into this blue. I don't know why. Like I said, I'm typically doing this to glaze into shadows. So I would take it and then, like, glaze it down here into the shadow of his midsection. Right? Just very light strokes, always moving it towards, this is, like a lesson on glazing. Right? It's where you create a shadow like that. Maybe you want to do one under the arm, ball here. You can do the same thing. These colors are just so good for this because they are built with a low opacity already. So just add a lot of water to them, get really aggressive, put it on there, and they don't leave that edge staining, right? They just give you a really good way to glaze in like a shadow like that. Same thing over here. Making sure to always move my brush towards where I want the shadow to be. Don't start in the shadow and bring a dark color out into your midtone. Start in the midtone and bring the color back into the shadow like you see me doing. Right. Now it gives you a really quick blend into that dark blue shadow like that. So this is the primary way that we tend to use them. But there's also a lot of times where we'll get really aggressive with them and paint a whole model with this as a filter over the top. Just depends on what we're doing. They're fantastic. If you have transparent blue, do you have bronze? Mix transparent blue with bronze metallic. You'll get a really, really amazing color out of it. It's like a seafoam metallic that works like a champ.
Yeah, they're good for adding color to metallics, right?
Oh, yeah. They're tremendous.
Relevant to what you're doing now, Mike wants to know how the transparents work with OneStep medium. Anything magical?
Great. Fantastic. They do great. They're just going to be way see-through,
Okay, where my other questions were. I think I missed a couple, but SC Memphis said, where's a good place to get some affordable models to practice on? I've become a pro at stripping, which is working backwards compared to trying to get better at painting.
Boy, that's a great question. I find that some of the cheapest models are available by hand-me-downs that you buy from other people. I do this a lot on eBay. Going and finding people that have bought armies they decided not to play, and they have all the models built. You get questionable building, right? You might get models that still have sprue connector bits on them because people don't really build models well. So it's always a risk that you're not getting the best. But if you're using them to practice painting, then they're great for that, right? For me, just getting quick armies on the table where I don't have to spend time building them, they're great for that. I clean them up a little bit, you paint them, you just live with the fact that they have some gaps and whatever, because who cares? It's not why you bought them to be perfect. So that's the way. This guy was one of those. These I bought from a buddy that had an entire army of Sorcerer Kings. And so, I got these and then I was able to just pick them up and start painting. So, that was really good. And it was at pennies on the dollar compared to what you buy retail. You just get hand-me-down models. They might not be, if you're building an army, they might not be the exact models you want, but if you're looking to paint, those are great. We bought these same way. Let me grab this one. This was fun, and I did a model showing you how to do this. This is a great way to get armies for games you want to try out, is we bought this army off of Facebook Marketplace, and it was just painted like this. Base coats with rattle cans, some washes, and contrast paints, and things like that, just kind of glommed on, right? And then we turned it into this by just, doing some quick dry brush and altering the colors where, like, the contrast paint looks like you poured caramel on there. So we smoothed that out with some layering, did a little bit of Wish.com OSL on the flame there. But I used all the base coats. I didn't repaint it or strip it. I just painted right over it using this. And so I looked, and online I saw this was, I like this color. It was a good base. And I said, well, I can work with that. And now I can turn it into this, which is something that I'm happy to have on the table. It's super simple. And so you can pick models up that you can paint over other people's, ventures and turn it into your own. Slap a little bit of metallic on the details, some dry brush, and boom, you got a great looking model. So that's a real quick addition. So there's lots of stuff out there. You just have to go look for it. I feel like every time I say this, I ruin my hopes of buying cheap models on the internet, because everybody goes out and says, oh my God, there was a whole army I was looking for, and instead of $2,000, it was $350.
Kalina Marson, yes, the EU or OneStep's available on the EU site
during
AdeptiCon.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to use some of the black-brown OneStep that comes out in Phase 2. We've been cheating and having some fun showing you this stuff before it's available.
Brent, you can watch reruns. Pick a real old one, and maybe on a day that you weren't here, and it'll be like new.
Oh, when we're gone?
Yeah.
Telling somebody on Discord, it always feels like we're doing something wrong when we're not here streaming.
Yeah.
It's so
You'll be
baked
so busy,
into my DNA.
You won't even know. You won't even, realize what's happening.
So baked into my DNA that at this time of the day, I start looking around when I'm out and about, at shows and whatever. I'm like, what? Don't we have something we're supposed to be doing?
Claude pointed out 1.5 sets per 60 seconds is 1 set per minute. That's what I'm saying. Game math. It works.
It was 90
Not
seconds,
the easiest
by
way.
the way. You guys aren't listening.
90 seconds, yeah. 1.5 sets per 90 seconds is 1 per minute.
Okay.
Because 90 seconds is 1.5 minutes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Did Jason finish his army?
Yes, I did. My Star Wars army is done. As a matter of fact, I added 4 miniatures to it that weren't here before. As a surprise. They're not in my list. I'm not supposed to have them. They're going to surprise.
Uh-oh. Well, they're not a surprise now. You just announced it.
Those guys aren't paying attention to me. Those guys are at last minute trying to get ready for Adepticon.
Sarcastic Grandpa said, just make your own rules. You know Dallas is.
He told me that today. He told me he doesn't even know how to play his game. He's just going to make it up as he goes. He says this is going to piss off the Star Wars Legion fans because he says they're a very serious group who take their canon lore and their gameplay very seriously. And I'm like, well, they're going to be mad at me. Because I know just enough. I don't know anything. I don't know who I'm trying to kid. I literally know nothing about the mythos of Star Wars as it really pertains to people that care about it anymore. I just don't. It's not something that I have carried into my adulthood.
Lies, they're always watching. Is your army off camera? Can you show it?
It's on a tray. Yeah, I can go grab it. I had it up here. It wasn't in focus, so that's why I took it away. I got frustrated.
Let's see.
Can you pull out to the
Yeah.
furthest? One more, I think.
That's 100.
That's 100.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the other puck zooms out.
Okay.
I know that's tough, but yeah, go that way.
Yeah.
And just go all the way.
That's
There
as
you
far
go.
as it goes.
Yeah, there you go. This is my army. All done with a single coat of OneStep. Now go into the next zoom.
Huh?
Go into the next zoom.
Can I do it?
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Or whatever. Right. So we did them all with one coat of OneStep on everything, and then some dry brush on areas like the metal stuff, so the guns didn't look too bad. They turned out really good.
Ooh, Shamarin said
I even did all the base rims today.
just finished my Path of the Worthy entry. It's my first real painting competition entry, and I'm feeling a mix of being excited, nervous, and exhausted.
Nice. It's going to be
Probably
great.
should have started more than 10 days before my fight.
You'll have a blast.
Congratulations. That's going to be
It's
so
going to be great
cool.
for you. Built this guy. I don't know.
Happy with how it turned out.
Did I
Awesome.
show any of these guys? I built. This is my commander that I built.
T-Schmid. Hello.
So yeah, whole army's done. I did it to where I could show off everything. I even today found this guy in a box, and I painted him up with magnesium and OneStep medium, just so I could say that everything is still just one coat of OneStep. I just did a really quick dry brush zenithal on him of white over black, and then the magnesium turned out great with the
Panic
metallic.
Bomb, it's nice to be here today.
Yep. There you go. I don't know how many minis that is. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 36, 41. 41 miniatures. Full Legion army. Of course, when I was looking for a case to take them in, I found my other full Legion army, which is also Rebels, but it's the old ones. And I got real depressed when I pulled all those out. And it's, other than the Wookiees, it's just about what I needed already. And it was already painted, so.
So you didn't have to paint a whole new army? Is that what you're saying?
I did, because it's the new minis.
Oh, okay.
And because I really wanted to show painting an entire army with OneStep. That was the whole goal.
Yeah.
Right? That was literally the whole goal. All right, so armor. The inside color of the armor I want to be able to do. And I'm wondering if I can't just do it with gray.
Jimbo 8 wants to know if you airbrushed all 3 base colors or if you dry brushed some of this.
This is all airbrushed on for the base layers, except for the bright pale yellow that picks out the details was a dry brush, quick dry brush. But dark purple primer was the first coat through the airbrush. You can see all the purple. The dark purple primer, then the yellow green, and the bismuth yellow were all airbrushed real quick. And when I say real quick, real quick. And then we just did the orange and the black brown OneStep on there for the wood bit and all that stuff. And I want to figure out a color on this armor, and I'm thinking the graphite gray thinned way down over this green might be really cool. Mm. And then we could do non-metallic silver trim on all the trim, which I think might be neat.
Non-metallic with OneStep or with other paint?
Yeah, with OneStep. Oh. Just do a base and then highlight it. That's what I've been finding is as long as your pre-highlight is done really nice, you have good contrast, that you can get really, really good results without having to do a whole lot of work. And I think silver and maybe these things on his knees and on here could be like gold. I don't know. I don't like mixing silver and gold, but it might be all right. It might be all right.
Super duper, John, what time's your layover? Our flight leaves at like 8 something in the morning. So.
All right, so let's think about this. I could do graphite gray. But I also have a stone hammers, which I think graphite gray would be really good for those. So maybe we mix the graphite gray with... Let's think about this real quick. Let's do just graphite gray on the stone hammers first and see how it looks. And then we can see what we want to do. Again, I just put some in a cup. I'm going to squirt a little bit of water in here because the more you want to see the colors of your base tone, the more I feel like you should be a little aggressive and thin this out. All the OneSteps thin just with water. You can use the medium, but why? Water works just as well. Works great.
They are not varnished. They are just naturally not as shiny as other paints of this type.
Yeah, you can see like the orange on the top of this is very matte. We wanted to make sure the biggest problem with these types of paints is that if they are even a slightest bit glossy, you can't tell if they did their job right or not because you're seeing the light in the room. Can you go in one more? Well, this is where it probably is that he... That's fine. That's fine. Maybe focus this up a little bit.
Wrong way. I have bad eyes,
there we
so
go.
Okay. Like you're gonna all have to help me with that.
There we go. Oh, so good. Again, notice how I'm not taking any paint off on my thumb palette because I want it to just bleed into the cracks. You can see, look at that. That one stroke is seeping down almost all the way to the crevice there. Great. You can imagine doing like panel lining with this stuff. It'll work like a champ. Add a little bit of water to it, and you can panel line tanks, Gundam, whatever you want. Because of its capillary action, working like a wash does, but having a really high tint strength so that you can get a lot of opacity on those areas that like the panel lines that it runs into.
Tim, they're not bad enough for LASIK. I just can't see a distance, and yeah, nothing is crisp unless I have my glasses on. But my glasses only help me see things far away. Sligui28 said, "This looks fantastic, Jason." Simon from Kingston.
What? What's going on, Simon?
Hi, Simon.
Simon?
Simon, you should come to Adepticon.
Simon runs our lab partner that does all of our testing with us. He is about as excited about these paints as we are, if not more so.
Yeah. They're awesome. Super Duper John, what airline are you flying? Or maybe we're on the same flight.
Out of Phoenix?
Yeah. He has a layover here, and his flight from here leaves at 8 something.
8:30 on American is where we are.
Bunyan Boy said, could you explain what OneStep is? Like a contrast paint medium, new to your products, and everyone uses different terms. That is true.
Yes. It is our answer to contrast / speed paints, but done the Monument way. Very matte finish. Very flexible. Mix with all of the rest of the range. Mix with themselves very well. Just need water to thin and clean up. They're just fantastic. I don't know. I've been telling everybody they're like magic. We just sent them out to a lot of our content creator buddies, Kenny, Rob, and people, Zambies, and they keep asking like, okay, well, what am I supposed to say about them? I'm like, just use them. Use them and let the words come out. Make up whatever story the words that come out of your mouth tell. Because I think, oh my God, I'll be part of it. They're just great. I am a guy that doesn't like to release products unless they are products I will use in my own painting. And while that might sound egotistical, it's just something we believe in around here. If we don't use it all day, because this stream we've been doing for 10 years. And so when you come on this stream and look at what we do, and you'll see in chat, a lot of people ask us a lot of questions. I'm just kind of stippling around to get more texture out of this because I want the stone to look rough. You got to come on here and you ask me stuff like you're asking right now, and I have to be able to give you an answer that is confident, right? That I know can show you what I'm talking about, and you'll get it. It'll either be good for you, or you'll be like, okay, yeah, not for me. But that I can tell you with confidence why you would want to use it, why it's better, and how to use it so that you get the most out of it. And those types of paints have never been something I was interested in. They are not good paints. I'll just call it what it is. They're a little greasy, a little oily. They reactivate. They dry kind of clumpy and messy. I mean, we just showed you a model that was done with some, I can't attest to how they were applied, right? But you can see that the way the contrast paint sits on top of the skulls, it has all these dark stains. Well, I joke that it looks like caramel popcorn, right? Because caramel will fill in the recesses, right? And it'll make it darker where it's not. Even the red is kind of clumpy. Right, got a big stain here where gravity kept it in a pool, and when it's in a pool, it gets super dark, almost like a brown, right? Whereas you look at our crimson over flat surfaces, these ribbons, right, on this flat surface. This was all done just a zenithal highlight. So I'm doing my entire Uroni army with OneStep, and we just start with I got too many things in my hand.
Bunyan, it either there are paints and there's a medium.
Yeah. There's pre-done colors and a medium that works with all of the Procro line. So just started with white and black zenithal out of our spray cans, just real quick on the Uroni. And then all of this is OneStep as a base. So the red is our crimson. And you can see that it's very consistent with how it covered, but it gives you the light and the dark as you would want. No big pooling. And if it doesn't do it on a flat surface, it's not going to do it anywhere. Right? It only gets darker where there's creases in the fabric, like wrinkles and such. That was great. And that was just glommed on. You can go back and watch this. This was done on stream. So, and then we blended it with beige red, which is one of our flesh tones. We blended the crimson with a non-OneStep color. So a OneStep color, a contrast paint with a non-contrast paint, mixed them together to get the highlight, and then blended the highlight on, and then went to beige red for just the edges to give it the tattered cloth look, and did that. This is our dark blue black on the black armor, and then white blue, right? Mix a little white blue in with it to get the midtone, and then white blue edges, and you get almost a non-metallic black look out of that. And that was, I don't know, super fast. It doesn't get quicker than that. So you can do very complicated looking stuff, and it's just super simple. The shirt is jade, are jade mixed in with the OneStep medium. So a non-OneStep color mixed with a medium, about 2 to 1, 2 to 3 to 1 medium to paint. And over that, and it already shades itself and looks great. So any of your regular line colors just become OneStep colors by virtue of adding the medium in, and you don't even have to use a lot. It's not like our glaze wash medium or our noosh medium where you're using like 10 to 1 to get the effect. Here, you're just like 2 to 1 medium to paint, and you get a great effect and flow out of it. And the rest of this is all just one. This is the dark green brown, the warm yellow. On these, I mixed the warm yellow with a crimson to get this kind of lobster claw effect going on up top, right?
Simon, have you seen all of these models that he's painted? Have you sent Simon pictures or any of it?
I don't know that I've sent a lot of pictures out, but my Uroni army is all. This is all OneStep. We've been doing it live, right?
So good.
So the graphite gray and the blue mixed with a white blue trim on it to do kind of a non-metallic blade. Again, the dark blue black for the black armor. Jade for all the jade spots. And then the skull areas were just the warm brown mix, I think with the white. White isn't available in this lineup, but we had a white test that we were doing. And then the skin is the warm yellow done over the zenithal, and then the crimson done over the warm yellow, which gives it a really cool orangish red. So you can see you can do them one layer over the next to mix the colors because of their transparency. So the crimson here is kind of a blood red color, but it turns into this when you put it over the yellow. So I based in yellow. I started doing that a lot on my Star Wars army for the Mon Calamari guys, because it gives just a really cool lobster red color. So I've been having a lot of fun doing that. You can mix the OneStep colors together to get other colors, and you can also layer them over the top of one another as filters and get completely different colors, which has been a lot of fun. That's what we're doing here, basically. We're putting them over opaque colors. But, you know, the orange that we just put over this green and purple base, I think gives us a fantastic orange skin, right? For very little effort, right? You're not spending a ton of time, you know, to do a chromatic undertone like this with the airbrush. If you have an airbrush, this is nothing, you know, to do the purple and green zenithal it's free. And then a dry brush of the bright pale yellow to get the edges, because having those edges bright really helps these colors work great, but you don't even have to do
that. Jade heard her name and she appeared.
You called? Hello, Jade.
We're gonna see you in a couple days, I assume. I don't know why you guys wouldn't go.
No, they're there.
Okay.
Chuck was telling me about dinner reservations he made in his restaurant he was excited to go to. I think he says it's one of his favorite restaurants in town.
Nice. Simon said it's awesome. He's seen a couple of it on some of the streams, but it's awesome to see it all come together, especially the full Legion army. Very inspiring.
I got to tell you, Simon, the ability to do an entire army with one coat of paint and not feel bad about it is insane for me. That's just not the way I paint. So for me, it's just not something that I'm ever like, you know, oh, you know what would be cool, but I just don't think about it. But what it does is it opens up my eyes to the ability to say, okay, great, I can get those on the table, go play with them, see if I like the army, see if I need to make changes, see if I like the game. But I get to play with fully painted models that didn't take but a few days to paint in real time. And they look good. And then you can also, nothing I'm doing precludes me from coming back and painting over it. This Wookiee, he's not one that I'm using in my force because they changed it on me and I don't have close combat Wookiees. So this Wookiee is all just a coat of, this is black-brown. Before we had the black-brown color, this was black-brown in the OneStep medium. And put that over it. And there's nothing here that prevents me from coming back and detailing this guy to a display quality. The quality of the paint is so good. The matte finish is so good that you wouldn't think that you would use a speed paint kind of paint when doing any of this. It just looks like you layered color on it, right? Because it's not splotchy color. It doesn't have darkness built up where darkness shouldn't be. It all looks like you just did layers and highlights. But this is just one layer of that and one layer of the graphite green on the waist cloth. And then I use Payne's gray in the medium for the blades, and then a quick dry brush of white blue on those, right?
Mike, he said he mixed some of the OneStep with just a regular color.
For what?
He was confused when you were talking about how you layered highlights with the OneStep. When you said you were mixing, you mixed it with on the one with the ribbons.
Oh yeah. I just took the OneStep crimson. So where are my bottles?
Bunyan Boy, that's us. Hi.
OneStep Crimson and Beige Red.
I don't make brushes, though, just the brush cleaner.
These two mixed together gave me the highlights on this. Right? So you can mix them together. They stop acting like OneStep when you start putting a non-OneStep color in them, unless you add OneStep medium. Now, we've also done that, where you can add OneStep medium to this and turn it into a OneStep color, 2-to-1, and then mix it with this and get the color. And now you have a color that acts like OneStep that is a blend of these colors. So you have every color in your arsenal of Pro Acryl can now become OneStep with the medium, right? So that's this. Right? So beige red and OneStep medium turns you into beige red OneStep for skin tones or whatever. But then you can mix it with all the OneStep colors to get any color you want. They think of them just like Pro Acryl colors. They just mix colors that you like and get them how you want. And when you add the medium into it as well, then now they just work like OneStep. You now have that contrast / speed paint style painting to you that doesn't get goopy, that doesn't give you dark spots where you don't want it. It applies nice and smooth. It gives you cool, consistent color on there, and then can blend and build up to whatever you want. You can use it as glazes. You can use it as base coats. You can use it as filters. You can airbrush with it, right? We did this entire thing as airbrushed, right? Back out to the, punch out to the far one. We have this big Uroni spider.
That guy's so cool.
Right? And this is all airbrushed. This is just a black and white zenithal, just like the rest of the Uroni. My entire Uroni army is just done with our black and white spray cans. Right? That's it. That's all this is. Really quick, done in the shop here. And then this is the blue and the purple, the royal purple. The royal purple, I went over the blue to give me some warmer shadows. And then the blue. That's just an airbrush filter. Now, through the airbrush, it stops acting like OneStep because it doesn't run into the crevices, you know, but it applies so smooth. Like it is just literally the butteriest airbrush paint I've ever used. So super high intensity, gives you tremendous coloring right out of the bottle. So you can imagine now, mix the OneStep medium in with any of your paints and you just have the most amazing ability to airbrush ever. It doesn't add to the dry time, so it doesn't have an extender capability to it, really, unlike the other mediums that we have. So dry times are pretty quick. So
Boshek wants the medium in a gallon or 5-gallon container.
bathtub version. I have a feeling that the medium is going to outdo even Noosh for sales, and Noosh has been, I think, the fastest selling medium we've ever had.
Yeah.
I think when people see the ease of how this stuff works, it'll just be tremendous. I mean, we did it with the metallics, right? So mixing it with steel or dark can pop in.
More?
One more, yeah. So this was with maybe dark silver. I think this was dark silver. And doing this with dark silver and turned it into a OneStep color where you get shading out of the metallics, it just is too easy. And it's smooth, no blotchiness. It's crazy, right? And this was just 2-to-1, medium to metallic. Even with the metallic, with the heavier inclusions in the metallic from the mica flake, it doesn't matter. It was 2, maybe 3-to-1. I don't do scientific measuring, you know me, but when we did it on stream, it felt like 2-to-1. And you just slop it on there, and it gives you just a great finish on this. And this guy's not even zenithal, right? This is the new red that I tested on here. So there's not even a zenithal here. He's just primed white. But it gives a really cool balance of the metallic on there, which is great. So,
Plumpy Crunchy asked if I have any favorite Conquest army now that Jason has gotten all of them. And I don't know. All the Model C paints look so cool. I did like the one that when you were showing off earlier, the one with the like kind of orangey skin and the jade armor.
This guy, the Oni.
Yes, I like that one. I just like I like the way you painted it. I think that's what does it.
Yeah, this was done with the first or second round of tests. They weren't quite as matte as the release version. This is where we were testing out the formulation to make sure that we could get all of the stuff working right and the colors right before production. And it still was phenomenal, right? It has a little bit more shine to the red, but it's still great. And all I did was I used a little bit of Nova Orange as a final peak highlight on some of the muscles. But that's all it's done here. It just is, it's too good.
And then that big blue beetle-y thing, is that from Conquest as well?
Here?
No, the other model, the big blue one.
The spider?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that one too.
Yeah, the spider has
That one's cool.
these geisha riding it.
Oh, neat. Oh, cool. That Chai Cat said, does the medium work best with darker shades, or would it work just as well with yellows and pigments with less coverage?
Oh yeah, it works with anything. This is it with Dark Sea Ben.
Ooh,
Dark Sea Ben and Faded
that
Green.
looks so good
A
too.
little bit of faded green. A little bit of faded green highlight is all this is. This is 2 colors. This is Dark Sea Ben as OneStep, and then faded green at the bright peak highlights. All the midtones are just the OneStep doing its job. It doesn't get easier than this. That cloak is awesome, and that's just Dark Sea Ben mixed with OneStep, and then a little bit of faded green as a highlight on the tops.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's too good, right? Too good. I've been using it on every model I've been painting, and even on something like that where it's like, hey, you know what I need is I need a way to get a really nice. Oh, and I spit on it, right? I need a way to get a really nice cloak, you know, and I'm going fast on these guys, and that again is just Dark Sea Ben and a little bit of faded green. You can't deny it. Just makes things super super easy, right? These guys painted up in a night. I remember how much of this we did on stream. I did a lot of this at home. It's just too good. Way too easy to get stuff like this done. So all of your capes and stuff just became super easy as long as you can put a good zenithal to them, whether it's with a dry brush or an airbrush. If you can apply a good base value sketch on your models, meaning that you can do black and white, right? Like these geisha, right? This is just a rattle can. Like, this is not hard. Right, this is just black rattle can and then white rattle can. And this is good enough to get you a good amount of contrast on the model. And then you apply the color, and it assumes and kind of inherits all that contrast, but adds really good smooth color and gives you great midtones and highlights out of it, and you're done. That's all this is. Too easy.
Kaho's Angel is wondering, can you use the OneStep paint to do fire?
To do fire? Yeah. Yeah. We've been using it here with the yellows and then the greens done as kind of just quick over the top to create this. The base was done with just titanium white, adding titanium white in for the hot spots on the center. So still working on it to get the color the way I want it. But yeah, this is just kind of a magical, witch fire that I'm doing. Worked great. It'll do anything, right? People were asking about the yellows. The yellows were great, right? This is we have a bunch of these test models that we're butchering, as people ask about on stream. This is just the pure warm yellow right there, right? And this is the warm yellow with wet blended with the orange. So you can see that you can blend them live. People were asking, like, what are you capable of doing? Glazing one over the other, you can do all sorts of stuff.
If you use them through an airbrush, is it more like an ink?
Kind of, but no, it's like a hybrid between an ink and a paint. We did this. If you go back and watch the video, this is where we did the Emperor's Children Saturday Night Dreadnought. We did him. This was just primed with I can't even remember, gang. Does anybody remember what I did as a base coat? I don't think it was purple. I think it might have just been black. And then we did warm flesh and pale yellow over the top of that, and then did the purple over that, and it's too good, right? And then I just dry brush pink. So this was the royal purple, OneStep through the airbrush over the top of the warm flesh or dark warm flesh and pale yellow that was done on a zenithal. You can go back and watch the stream, and I mean, that's spectacular. There's nothing I would change about that. You look at these blended panels, that looks like you did a lot more work than just a zenithal highlight. Even these shine, that's just dry brush and the zenithal highlight. How long did this take us, Chad? An hour and a half? It started with gray plastic on the stream. Go back and watch the stream. I think it was an hour and a half. That was one stream, and the streams only go for 2 hours, so it could have been more than 2 hours. And we even went back and put the OneStep black or dark blue black on a lot of the machinery parts to get those black back out. Yeah, I would say if you're familiar with inks, they give you the intensity of an ink, but they act like a paint. The way that they stay, the way that they give you the control of layering are like a paint. If you've airbrushed inks, the problem with inks is that they layer inconsistently. When you do your second layer, you can get layer lines with inks because they're so saturated that you can see where they start to band color if you don't feather them properly. These don't do that, right? These give you the intensity of an ink. They give you the saturation of an ink, but they blend like a paint through the airbrush. They just don't, you don't have to really think about it. They just put the color on there. And if you want a little bit more, you aim at the spot where you want a little bit more and it feathers itself automatically. There's no banding of color, no splotchiness, right? And then I just went back and dry brush pink over the top. I don't even think it was pale pink. I think it was just pink. Might have been pale pink.
And just because he describes something as buttery does not mean you should eat it. Same rules apply.
I don't know what she's talking about. I feel like you do what you want. You're adults.
And it is matte. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is no varnish. This is the way it comes. Matte. They all have a very high level of matte, right? You can see that this is the dark blue black put over it, and it has a high level of matte to it. The big key for me with all painting is I don't want the light in the room to have an effect on my model. I don't want it to make a false highlight on my model, because then I'm stuck in the light that I painted in for it to look the way I painted it, because the light's doing part of the work. And then when you take it out to another room, it doesn't look like the way it did at your studio, because the lights are different, hitting it from different angles, showing you brightness in different areas. Paint with matte paint. If you want your models to look like you did all the work and show off the work you did, paint with matte paint. And ours, like you can see, the OneStep colors are matte. They let everything show the way you put it on there, right? That's just great. Like, this guy is just great. This one stream caused Kyle to stop what he was doing and paint an entire Emperor's Children army with this formula, right? Because the whole crew got OneSteps here. And he sent me a message via our messenger at midnight or 1 in the morning, the day after, or a couple days after that stream, saying, look what you made me do. And he's doing a whole Legio Imperialis army and a whole 30K army with that recipe. Because it's instantaneous. You can just do a whole army like that. Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to paint the details, but.
Avian has some questions on highlights.
Yeah.
This morning I thought I had a bright enough sketch on a leg. This afternoon, not enough. Colors used were Wizard's Butt, the gray-green one, carbon black for the shadows, and a blend of Wizard's Butt to neutral gray to bright neutral gray. Any suggestions on forcing oneself to increase the contrast without blowing it out?
I guess I'd have to understand what you're talking about. Like you say, you thought you had a bright enough sketch on a leg. This afternoon, not enough. Meaning, what did you do that made you thought it was bright enough to put the one step over, and when you put the one step over, you didn't have any contrast? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Or no? Because, like, if you're using the gray-green Wizard's Butt is not very bright.
Did not put any one step over it yet.
Okay, so the black, go back up, or wherever that was. Yeah. I'm trying to read the colors.
I know, I jumped away. There we go, right here.
So you got black, the gray-green, and neutral gray to bright neutral. The bright neutral gray is very bright. So bright neutral gray and neutral gray should have given you your contrast, right? But you can lose contrast by putting too much brightness on a model and shoving your shadows too dark, or by not putting enough brightness on a model and having the brightness just be like an edge highlight. Then the whole model can be dark and look like a Tron suit, right? Because it just have bright edges and then it goes to dark. So it's all about balance, right? Literally all about balance. You know, this cloth that I showed you is a good example of that, right? If you're not careful, mid-tones give you the color of the object. So you think of it in terms of your mid-tone is where you aim for to get the color, right? So the mid-tone of this is like a brighter dark sea Ben that's done because it's OneStep, right? So I got that out of the pre-highlight, right? But the color that you're seeing here is a color that doesn't exist. It's the way that the OneStep fell over the zenithal and gave you that mid-tone dark sea Ben. The dark sea Ben is what you see in the shadows that gives that contrast, and the faded green is what you see in the highlights. So, you know, that's where the word triad starts coming from, is you always want to have, let's just create something that's sort of close to what I just showed you, right? If I look at dark sea Ben in the shadow, right, and I look at faded green in the highlight, right, then I need something that kind of exists in the middle of all of that, which I don't have, but I can probably fake with like green oxide, maybe, right? This is the way you need to start thinking about all of your painting, right? This is the color you want it to look like, okay? So this needs to live enough on the model to give you the idea that this is the color that it is. This gives you contrast into the shadows. This gives you contrast into the highlights. Those two together need to be spanned far enough apart in brightness, almost to, for each area of the model, think of what is your black and what is your white, if that helps. You need to have a color for every section of the model that represents the black and the white version of that color. Now, it does, this is nowhere near white, right? Faded green is nowhere near white. Look at that. It looks like a mid-tone color. But for this workup, this is your bright color. This was the bright color here, right? It gives me a highlight. I don't have to go any brighter than that. It gave me shine. It almost makes the cloak look shiny, right? But it doesn't have to be a white. It just has to be the color that represents the brightest color. So that's why I say you need to pick a black and a white for every area of the model. And that's going to be your shade and your highlight, right? And they have to be different enough, which is why I say black and white, to provide all that contrast, right? If you do your blends like this, let's just grab this. Let's just grab dark jade, jade, and bright jade, right? This, while being a triad by hue, does not necessarily mean that if you use these colors, you will get a lot of contrast, because these two colors aren't a world apart. They're pretty far, and it works pretty good. But when you put this in there, there's not a lot of contrast here. So you may want to think about going to something like bright pale green as your ultimate highlight. That now provides you with a lot of contrast because those two colors are way far apart, right? Or if you don't want to go brighter, then you go to something like black green, right, as your deepest shadow, or Payne's gray, right? Something like that. So that now you've provided more contrast here. So that's the biggest thing you need to be looking at whenever you're building your colors, is to say, what is the color you want it to look like? In that case, it's probably jade, right? You got a highlight for jade and a shadow for jade, but do those give you enough contrast to do what you're looking to do? Because if you're saying it still doesn't feel like it has enough division and contrast and definition to it, it's probably that these two colors are too close, right? And then it makes this color in the middle of them just kind of wash it all together. If you were to paint just this, there'd be a lot of ability for contrast. But when you have that mid-tone in it, it disperses all that, and now you have less. And so then you start thinking in terms of, adding something back in, right? Like these two. So hopefully that helps. And yeah, I without seeing the model, I can't always tell you exactly what's going on with what you're doing. But that feels like, from what was being stated, was the issue, because you had some dark, some mid-tones, and you did the bright neutral gray, which is almost like a white. So I would think you'd have enough.
You said it must have blended the neutral gray with the bright neutral gray too much.
You could and lose the bright neutral gray. Or
Wizard's Butt is probably too dark for the carbon black. Vis-a-vis carbon black.
Well, let's find these colors again. You had carbon black as a base. So I'm just going to grab coal black. Same difference. Neutral gray.
We'll check your questions next.
And bright neutral gray. Help me out here. Was there something else there?
It was
coal black.
Wizard's Butt.
And the Wizard's Butt gray
green. Carbon black for shadows, a blend of Wizard's Butt to neutral gray to bright neutral gray.
Okay. So this. Can you see, based on what I was talking about, what the issue might be? Just when you hold them up. This you've got. That's contrast, right? That's basically black and white. There's nothing wrong there. Your midtones from here to here are the same value. Almost dead nuts, right? The neutral gray might be considered to be a hair brighter, but I think that's just your eyes fooling you, right? So these are both midtones. So going from here to here is just a matter of hue. It doesn't add anything to your contrast on the model. And it can actually fuzz out your color and make your color lose its pinpoint. So if this was the color you were going for and you were trying to blend it to highlight through this, that might be one of the problems. Let's do this real quick, because I think this is a good lesson for people. May just end the day on this.
Yes. More Darian said, Jason is an excellent teacher. That's true.
Thank you. Yeah, these things are really tough because each situation can be very unique, not in terms of necessarily the colors used, because if I were to hand everybody in chat these same 4 colors, we might have a lot of you have the same successes and a lot of you have the same problems with them. But you might also see a lot of you have different problems with the same colors, because a lot of it becomes the artist's use of those colors that really start to impact it. How are you blending them, right? Because your blending technique can have a lot to do with what types of colors you pick. If you're wet blending, you need to be using very high contrast colors to wet blend because you're mixing them live on the model. And when you do so, right, you want a very dark color and a very bright color because you're going to get all the midtones. So you don't really go through and wet blend in normal circumstances with a bunch of midtone colors because that's just going to turn to mud, right? You go with like, imagine black and white. And when you wet blend them, you get all the grays in between, but you need to leave black and white too, okay? So let's pick a model here. What do I got that would work well? What do I have here? Maybe the hood on this guy. Let's take a hunter and do the hood. Okay, the hood's got some good contrast areas there, right? So your base is black, right? The black's easy, right? We just have black shadow. Did you paint the whole thing black and start from a black base? I would assume no, since you said carbon black you were using as a shadow. So maybe I'm not doing this the same way you are, but I'm going to wind up with a good result either way. Right? One of the reasons I really like starting with a black base for everything is that it bakes in your shadow. So if you black prime everything, which obviously isn't done here, but we're going to use coal black and it's opaque enough to where it doesn't matter. The white's gone.
Avian said, I started with Wizard's Butt first over gray primer.
The Wizard's Butt green and then you shaded the black off of that? Okay. I'm going to do this different. Maybe this will help. You use gray primer and the Wizard's Butt over that. Okay. So you like to paint mainly from mid-tone backwards and forwards. Is that my guess here? Is that right? I'm just going to do enough of this side that we don't see the white intruding. And I'm again, I apologize. I'm going to work kind of quick and that's going to cause these colors to blend, which sucks, but it's the way it goes when we're live on stream. I'm wet blending right now because I'm forcing the Wizard's Butt gray-green into my black that hasn't had time to dry. So for us, it's going to look cool, but it may not be exactly how you paint. So I'm going to try to make this less impactful overall. But you may be sitting out there saying,
your name.
Huh?
I was just saying I like someone's name. Nar2D2.
Nar2D2. Maybe some of you sitting out there like, oh, I'm going to wet blend all my base coats. It is a great way. You know, people ask me, when do you wet blend the most? And I'm like, well, I wet blend for base coats because it does exactly what you're seeing here. It can bake in a color and get a really good medium blend. Can you scoot in one more?
Yeah.
Right? It's going to have a lot of shine to it because we're working wet. Right? And then as that's going, I'm going to continue to build up my gray-green.
Coyote Colson, I can kind of answer that while he's painting. They're not super satin. I think that maybe it could be because our regular paints are so matte that you could almost maybe compare it to like other paints version of matte.
Yeah.
Is our satin.
For what we call satin?
Yeah.
Yeah, our satin is kind of like our competitors' version, what they call matte. Has a little bit of a shine to it, enough to pick up the light in the room, but not enough to be super glossy.
Are you right now doing the mid-tone?
Well, I'm wet blending these two colors, unfortunately. I need to give it a little bit of time to dry because the green will be a lot brighter. The problem is, as I do this and work fast on stream, the paint doesn't have enough time to really dry. If I'm not careful, I just continue re-wetting areas. I'm going to use downward strokes only here, and that'll help keep the green moving towards the gray and not vice versa. That's pretty close to what having that base coat done with a black shadow would look like. Okay. Now, maybe I'll go a little bit brighter up top here.
Okay, Shorts, that is supreme dedication, because ball bladder surgery is no laughing matter.
What's that?
Kay Short has said, came from my wife's ball bladder surgery on time to tune in. Hashtag dedication.
Ball bladder?
Ball bladder.
Oh. I'm sorry she's doing that. But I'm really happy that you're able to get some time away from it. I hope that gives you some good peace of mind. Hopefully it's going well with her surgery. All right, there we go. That's back up to like what the actual color is, okay? So there's the wizard's butt color, black shadows. Now the thing that throws me here is, what was your plan with the gray? I think you'd be better off if I can give you a hint here. The gray and the green, because they're the same value, the only reason you do that is for hue, and I don't understand why. I think you get better action by blending the wizard's butt and the bright neutral gray, right? Because you're using the bright neutral gray as a tint for the gray-green here, right? And that's going to give you a color that's on hue and brighter. See, if I mix the two, I get a really cool color that is still desaturated from the gray and the bright neutral gray, but it's a higher value, which is very important here, right? Because now I have this color, and this color I can start to sketch in my highlights. I'm just going to do this fairly sketchy, so forgive if I'm not blended perfectly here. I'm working more for balance and contrast on your
no way
color.
We're not forgiving you. And yes, Kay Shorts, I knew what you meant, and I just like it when words get turned around like that. I think it's fun. But I'm glad to hear she's doing well. Do they do any kind of swap meet at Adepticon? I don't know.
I don't know if they do. I mean, there's a no, I don't think so. With between people, there is a vendor there that brings a lot of older models and bits. The bits guy, right? Who brings a lot of cool stuff along. But it's just one store, basically.
Seth Amanda, if you're taking classes, the paint should be provided, I believe.
Yeah, most of the classes have got paints. Our paints are in every classroom.
Yeah, and if you are just asking, should you bring paint just for like your downtime? I know there are like, is Fort Wapple still a thing?
Yep.
Okay.
And we have a full rack of our paint, and some other vendors who got paints in Fort Wapple. So they have a whole area where you can just use other paints. We usually provide some old brushes there too, but that depends on if they grow legs and walk off. See, that's the bright neutral gray added in with the wizard's butt. That's better as a 50-50 mix for you than the neutral gray, because it's a brighter color that doesn't exist in the line, stays on hue. Okay? That make sense? Then you just go to the bright neutral gray, right? Or step it up into the mix. You could go this one more time if you thought the bright neutral gray was too much, right? Because the bright neutral gray loses that entirety of the greenish hue. But I'm going to go with just bright neutral gray here, right? And so then I'll just come back and use it as a final highlight. And it should be plenty bright to give you contrast if you're leaving enough of your other colors, right? That's always your key when looking for contrast, is you have to leave enough of your midtone, you have to leave enough of your shadow color to still be there, because it's the way all of these colors interact that gives you your final balance of lighting and value for your volumes on the model, right? So I can catch these scritches a little bit. I'm getting a little squirrely with my brush, but smaller and smaller brush strokes as I go, covering less and less space. So I make sure I'm leaving all the colors that were there before, right? And so now I've got really good contrast on that. That's a really good fabric color. I like that a lot, actually, right? I could probably come here and like edge highlight along this edge a little bit more.
The fire station is right around the corner.
Right. So now you're letting the bright neutral gray do its job. You can see it along the ridge here, but just barely, right? I'm not putting a lot of paint on there for this. It's just right in this area here. That's all I need, right? Because then the mix between the two covers that, and then I get into the wizard's butt, and then the wizard's butt in the black. So that gives you a lot of volume, but remember, can you pop in closer, or is this as close as we go?
That's the closest one, but do you want me to try and zoom?
Yeah, hit the zoom again. Yeah, there you go. You can see, yeah, like right there. You can see how my patches of color overlay one another, right? So you can see the bright neutral gray by itself. You can see the mixed color. Then you can see the wizard's butt is the shadow for it up high, and then down low, and the black back here. And then as we go down low, you get those same colors, but then the black kicks in as the heavy shadow where I'm needed. There shouldn't be any black across the top of the head, maybe here because this fold is deep, right? But there shouldn't be any black up here because this is my brighter spot. So my darkest shadow up here is just the wizard's butt by itself. So it's wizard's butt, the mix of wizard's butt and bright neutral gray and bright neutral gray. I have three colors up here that give me my volumes that I've sketched in. Then as I go down here, I have those same three colors, add the black. That gives me my heavy shadow. And now I get all of my contrast from top to bottom. My area that's furthest away from my light gets more of the heavy shadow, less of it up top. And now we have a pretty good contrast across this whole thing. Make sense? And the big key here that I hope you walk away from is controlling the amount of paint you put down, because it's very easy to cover up your last color or blend too much and you lose your volume because you now have encroached upon your midtones, and now your shadows sit so close to your highlights that it's either super contrasty or you got rid of your highlights because your midtone encroached too far if you're going that direction, and you lost your highlight, and now your shadow and your midtone sit too close to one another and they don't give you contrast. Whereas if you leave it to where you really just want to be able to see all of your colors, and again, you can see all three of the colors. This is the best spot right here. The brightest color, the midtone mixed color, the darker color, right? You can see it all throughout here. So it's all about that paint yourself into a corner. Make sure that you're leaving yourself enough space for the color you have on your brush. If you don't, and you're just putting a little teeny dot, that's okay if that little teeny dot does the job. But if you feel like you're wanting to do brush strokes and your brush strokes cover up the previous color, then you have a problem, because now you're losing the reason you had that color. So two things on this is, for that mix that you told me, I would get rid of the neutral gray. I would just use the bright neutral gray mixed with the wizard's butt gray green, because that gives you the neutral that you wanted. It gives you that mid-tone color that you were looking for. You were just trying to do it without mixing. And the neutral gray, I think, is your problem, because the neutral gray is going to eliminate this contrast that you get, because it doesn't have anywhere to sit on this, right? Hopefully that helps you a lot. I know I'm really messy here. My brush strokes are really loose, but to think of it as fur.
Yes, Avian said it was helpful. It said,
Good.
one day this will catch in my Swiss cheese brain. And I promised Boshek that you would answer this question, but I think he said that this was helpful, like what your demo was helpful for it. Doing a Tome Keeper's army, and they have like dark ivory color. Thinking of doing them like you did the Emperor's Children. What would you dry brush on them first?
Once the color's down, or to set up your value? They have like an dark ivory color. The way I did the Emperor's Children with OneStep, help me out, Boshek.
To set up the value.
To set up the values?
Yes. But he said that what you just demoed was also helpful.
Oh, okay.
But if you have color suggestions, maybe.
Well, if you're setting up values, the brighter color that you can go is great. And when dry brushing, you get the benefit of the dry brush tends to make your mid-tone, but it can also miss the mid-tone if you do it too wet. So a lot of times when I'm dry brushing, a a value sketch, I'll go like black, neutral gray, white, right? Because the white doesn't give the same gray when you dry brush it over black as airbrushing does, because airbrushing makes a bunch of spots, and where the spots get really wide, the black and the white visually look like gray happened when it's not. It's white and black, but it looks gray, and so it acts like a midtone. Whereas when you dry brush, you get a more like in what's the right word? You get a more impactful application of the bright color, and it doesn't turn into gray anywhere. And so sometimes I'll do black, gray, white. Now, if you're doing black, gray, white, and then putting dark ivory over the top, that would be great. You could be done, right? You could do black, gray, white, like black, neutral gray, white, or black, warm gray, white. The warm gray might be cool because it has a little bit of brownish green hue to it. So that underneath your ivory tones could be really neat. So let's do, black, warm gray, white as your value sketch. That's how you dry brush. So prime it black, warm gray, dry brush, heavy, warm gray, dry brush, and then very light white dry brush to get the high spots. And then if you were to do dark ivory with OneStep over that, that would be awesome. Because you'd get your ivory out of where the dark ivory went over the white. And you get a really cool midtone interaction with the dark ivory over the warm gray. So I think that would be really cool if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So we take it easy.
Bye, Simon.
Is that Simon?
Yeah.
Sligui?
Yeah.
Is that how am I mispronouncing that, Simon? Sligui? Okay, Boshek. Yeah, I think that would really, really good. When you're setting up your pre-highlight or your value sketch or your zenithal, whatever you want to call it, the darker to brighter you can go, the better. Because when you filter a color over the top, like a speed paint, like OneStep, or a transparent paint through the airbrush or whatever, you're going to darken those colors even more. And so that's why white is a great choice. The only reason why white is not a great choice, because it will make the color you put over the top bright where you want it in the highlights. But it also desaturates the color. It can make those colors lose their intensity when you go over white, or it'll make red pink, which may not be what you want. So bright pale yellow is a close white, right? It feels bright like white, even though it's not as bright as white. But when you put red over the top, it doesn't go to pink, right? It keeps it red because of the warmth and the yellow that's in the color. So that's the reason to maybe think. So, but when you're doing something like an ivory or a dark ivory top coat, you don't really care. The white is perfect for you. If you're doing grays, the white is perfect for you. Blues, the white can be good, right? But for warm colors, I tend to say stay away from the white. Maybe yellow. Yellow over white works really well. Because yellow doesn't turn into anything different. It still stays yellow. It just becomes very pale. Reds go pink. Greens desaturate weird. Blues are okay. Purples, again, go to magentas. So it just depends on what you're looking for when you go over white. But white's your friend for brightening up a color for sure.
Simon it's Sly Guy.
Sly Guy.
Sly
Okay,
Guy.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I was like, Sligui.
It's 4:00.
It's 4:00?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Well, I said we were going to finish that way. So
didn't get to all the questions.
Look at that orange over these
best.
colors. It just turned out so good. I didn't do much today, but what I did do looked good.
Today went fast. It did.
Time to go to the airport. Not quite. Don't do this like that.
Not for us.
And then, unfortunately, I don't know. I don't think it's Taco Tuesday. We do need to figure out food, though.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Because we have somebody watching the house, so we don't have groceries at the house. We did a good job of running out of food. So there's only snacks.
We've got stuff. There's like frozen pizza and chicken nuggets and stuff. But
awesome, Boshek.
Somebody asked if Wizard's Butt would be available at AdeptiCon. Or we have it? Do we have any Wizard's Butt there?
Yeah, I think they took they definitely took a Wizard's Butt.
Okay.
Yep. I don't remember which one it is.
In and out, no.
I don't remember which Wizard's Butt it is, but it's a good one.
Okay.
I think it may be a yellow. It's new, though. It's the first time ever. So it's new. It's not one people would have already had.
Demo on the pigment powder.
Probably on Chris has a video call out. We did a video when they first came out. We can do, like, when we get back from AdeptiCon, I can work with them some more and show you some more. think of them as dry brushing them onto the model is the easiest way to use them, right? Like to bring the ground, I dry brush them on the base to give that powdery, dirt color to my base that I've painted, and then I drag that up the leg a little bit is where I use it, or on tank tracks and stuff. But imagine dipping your dry brush in it and dusting it off, and then hitting and dusting the model with it like you would dry brushing. One of the most effective ways to use them.
Lumberjack Tim, I get a little anxiety about the questions not being answered. It's the teacher in me. Make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Everybody, thank you so much. Remember, if you're new around here, please
hit
what
I got to do here. Hold
the
on.
Follow and the sub button. You have to type exclamation point store.
Okay. Yeah.
Exclamation point EU. Does he have a list?
All the old days. No, but I remember those.
And Discord.
Discord.
And FLGS.
And FLGS.
So make sure to hit the follow, subscribe, like, all those good buttons. We do this normally. We do this Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Monument Standard Time here in Phoenix. This week, a little bit different. We have the AdeptiCon convention going on in Milwaukee. The whole team, including Chris, jetted off there very bright and early this morning, butt crack of dawn style. They're there working, setting up the booth right now, and that'll be ongoing through tomorrow. Jen and I fly out tomorrow, so we won't be streaming
before 5 a.m.
We won't be streaming tomorrow, Thursday or Friday, or Monday. So you're without us for 4 days. I will try not to get too lonely without you guys. So
R2D2, no, not enjoying the weather.
Make sure
it's terrible.
Make sure you join the Discord so that you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. We will post a lot of cool pictures and hopefully videos from the show. Chris is on it. He's going to be taking a lot of the build, so we'll have some stuff that's going on over there to update everybody on how things are going. If you're coming to AdeptiCon, we're going to be really super happy to see you there. If you're not, we will miss you, but make sure to go check Base Layer out. Baselayer. Is it com? I don't remember. I don't think it's com. I think it's baselayer. I don't remember. Do exclamation point base layer. Does that work? He had one. It's base LAIR. All one word.
Nope.
Brr. Brr. But yeah. Go to the Discord. We have the base layer link there. I can't remember what it is. Bunyan Boy, you're definitely welcome. Thanks for all the good questions. You guys really drive the content, especially on days like today. We didn't get a lot of painting done, but I feel like we got a lot taught out. We discussed a lot as far as like color mixing. That the first blending one was really good, and then the transparency one, and then ending this last one with just how to create volumes with the colors and which colors to pick, because I think that is what holds a lot of people up. You pick some colors that visually you think are right, but when you get them on the model, it destroys your contrast. And without contrast, you have no volume recognition, and the model starts to look flat again. And that's not what we're in the job of doing. We want to make them look lively. So great stuff. Hopefully I was able to help you out a lot. Chris sabotaged Jen. Fired. Chris, you're fired. Chris, you're fired. So he gets fired at the end of stream. He can't fire me. He's doing really good work at AdeptiCon. Yeah. So there you go. You won't meet me until you restock the attitude adjuster, because I got to fly to Mike's house and give him a lesson. I said if anybody ever bought the attitude adjuster, because it's basically a $5,000
Harbor Freight sledgehammer.
Harbor Freight sledgehammer. It is not a good deal. Well, it is, because I hand deliver it and I sit with you for a day and teach you how to paint. So that part of it's a really good deal. You wouldn't be able to afford that otherwise. But you got to buy a hammer to get it, and we took it off the shelves because I was afraid somebody would actually buy it.
And thank you for all of the wonderful, wonderful compliments about the stream and what we're doing here in the community.
100%.
That's why we do it.
100%.
Yep.
Everybody, thank you so much. We're going to find you somebody to raid, so stick around as we do that. And then
that makes me anxious. I don't know how to do that.
Uh-oh. Maybe we won't be raiding
We
anybody.
might not raid anyone. You
so
guys know
the stream might just end.
Everyone's at AdeptiCon anyway, so.
But yeah, but if we do raid, show some love in the channel we wind up in. If not, we will catch you back here. Remember, it's next Tuesday before you see us again, but join the Discord. The link was up in chat. That way you get 24 hours, as much as you can handle of us. Thank you so much for hanging tight with us and watching some paint dry. Have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend, and we'll see you on the flip side. Adios, gang.